Hi, everybody, and welcome to Observing with Webb for September of 2019, where a high school astronomy teacher, yours truly, tells you what you're looking at, why it's so cool, and what you should check out later this month at night. Now, September is not very eventful, so this should be a quick video. We have a week with a close encounter lineup of the Moon, Jupiter, and Saturn. And we have the fairly uneventful autumnal equinox. That's about it. However, the nights are getting longer and the days are getting cooler and shorter. So good time for astronomy. So let's get started by talking about the planets. Okay, so as far as planets go, you're looking at them right now. You've got Saturn and Jupiter. That is really it for the month. And if we look at these just individually, let me get the moon out of the way there. We'll talk about that later. Let's talk about Jupiter and Saturn individually. Jupiter first. Now, Jupiter is already going to be high in the sky at night, off toward the southwest in that direction. And it's going to be the first light that you see. So as the sky turns from blue to dark blue to black, you'll see Jupiter pop out first. It'll set in the southwest by about 11:30. So you can sort of see that happen there. So by 11:30 at the beginning of the month, and it's going to set earlier and earlier throughout the month, setting about 10 p.m. by the end of the month. Now, the other thing is that the sunset is getting earlier and earlier, so it sort of offsets that a little bit. So let me rewind. And don't forget Jupiter, you've got the wonderful Galilean moons. Galileo was the first person to see moons orbit another object, or at least interpret it that way. And you can see those with just a modest telescope. In fact, if you go out an hour or two after, you'll see that those are in slightly different positions, most likely. Then we've got Saturn. Now, Jupiter was over here in Scorpius, but Saturn is over here in Sagittarius, another one of the summer great constellations. Now, Saturn will trail behind Jupiter by about 30 degrees, okay? It starts off again in the south-southeast, about 20 degrees above the horizon, maybe 25 degrees above the horizon, and it's second in brightness to Jupiter. So you should be able to see Jupiter first and then wait 10-20 minutes. You should be able to see Saturn in the dusk sky. And just like Jupiter, it's going to move toward the west and set, except Saturn's going to be up a bit later. Saturn is going to set closer to 2 a.m. at the beginning of the month, and then 11:30 by the end of the month. All right? So, Jupiter, Saturn, look after sunset, look toward the southwest, that area. Should be able to see them. You might be wondering, well, what about Mercury and Venus and Mars? Well, they're not really visible. They're off in the glare of the sun for one reason or another, but next month you might be able to catch each one of them if you know what to do, and you'll know what to do if you come watch this video next month. Anyway, that's it for the planets, so check out Jupiter and Saturn. Let's talk about the moon first. First off, tonight, September 5th, I'm recording this late, is a first quarter moon. That means it is visible until midnight. The right half is lit up. And tonight is kind of the start of when observing with your telescope is not quite so good. With your naked eye is always fun, but the light pollution really gets in the way. And it doesn't set until about midnight. So then it's going to get thicker for the rest of the month. Full moon is on the 13th. The last quarter moon is on the 21st, and that's when you start really to get some more observing in, because the last quarter is visible only starting around midnight. So you can observe up to midnight without light pollution. And then the new moon is on the 28th. So last couple weeks are probably the best for you to get out there. Now, the only real event this month is well, this little week here, which, again, I'm recording late, so You're probably not even seeing this. But let me start. Today's the 5th, so I'll start on the 5th. Now, there's a close encounter between the Moon, Jupiter, and Saturn, right? Now, right now, tonight, you should be able to see Jupiter and the Moon actually fairly close together here, okay? Jupiter and the Moon, and they are, let's see, only about 4 degrees apart. Now, the Moon is going to spend then the next 2 nights in between Jupiter and Saturn. Now, the first night it's going to be closer to Jupiter, and on the second night it's going to be closer to Saturn, off in Sagittarius. Now, it's going to be hard to see Sagittarius because the Moon will be so bright, but maybe if you have good eyes, you can pick that up. Now, on the 8th, Saturn is going to be only 5.5 degrees up and to the right of the Moon. So these are only separated by about 3 finger widths at arm's length, okay? And yeah, so then we zoom out. Obviously, the next night, the Moon's going to be further away, almost evenly spaced on September 9th, giving you a nice good view of 3 objects in about I'd say a 90 degree area. So, and they set around 11 p.m., so get out there after sunset and take a look. This might be a good one for some landscape astrophotography, okay? And other than that, the only other thing happening in September is the fall equinox. And the fall equinox is when all locations on Earth experience a day of almost exactly 12 hours of day and almost exactly 12 hours of night. Astronomically, it's the first day of fall, even though when you look at meteorology, fall really more starts the beginning of September. But yeah, that's the basic idea there. So that's it. Make sure you get out and see the Moon, Jupiter, and Saturn.
Are there patterns in our skies? Are patterns only in our eyes?
So what constellations should you look at? Well, first of all, watch this video. Second of all, get skymaps.com. Go there and they make a wonderful sky map you can look at while you're out there. Don't use the bright flashlight of your cell phone. Try to use like a red light or something like that. But anyway, I'm going to say after dinner, now's a good chance to get your last good look at Sagittarius here, right? Now, Saturn's in Sagittarius, which is nice. But the cool thing is that you can also see, first of all, the teapot, and you can also see the steam coming off the teapot. The steam being some of the really cool objects that are coming off of this little teapot here, which is actually pretty much right in the center of the Milky Way, in a sense. And what you see here is a whole bunch of different clusters, okay? This is your last chance to really get a good look at the summer constellation of Sagittarius and these things here. But you can see different nebulas and clusters all in this area. And I'll tell you, it really is a great area to look at. In fact, one time I went out without a sky map and just binoculars and a telescope, and I was actually able to see a whole lot of these. Really, really worth looking at. The other thing you're going to want to look at is the summer triangle yet again. And what you're doing is you're looking pretty much straight up, and you should be able to see, once again, Lyra, Cygnus, and Aquila. Lyra the harp, Cygnus the swan, and Aquila the eagle. And again, these 3 stars, the brightest one in each constellation, makes the summer triangle. Those are the ones that you can see even if you're in Wildwood or Ocean City where there's tons of light and it's really hard to see. You can still see those 3, and it makes a big asterism called the summer triangle. But if you're in less light polluted skies, you can see all of that. Also of particular note here is Delphinus. It's one of my favorites. It's kind of off center here. When you look at it in the sky, it's just really beautiful, really neat as far as constellations go. Lyra is one of my favorites as well, with a wonderful nebula right around in here. But anyway, go ahead after dinner, check those out. Now, if you're like me and you get up early before work, well, that's kind of a different story. Let's see what we can see. So let's go to AM. Let's go, before work. Let's go to, okay, about 6 a.m. Now, of course, this is my favorite part, is actually trying to find Orion in the night sky. Super easy to find that little vertical bow tie up there. As I'm going to school these mornings, I'm really enjoying seeing that. But turn the complete opposite way toward the north. So see that end there? You have that on your horizon, right? Just look north and then look almost straight up. And you should be able to see Cassiopeia right up here. Cassiopeia is wonderful because it's this W. We normally say it's a W in the sky, but when it's up here, it's more like an M. And there's 5 really bright stars. And what I like to look for when I'm trying to find Cassiopeia is I look for one angle that's almost a right angle here, connected to another angle that's pretty obtuse over here. All right, well, that does it. Don't forget to check out my Podbean page to listen to this just in your ears, mrwebb.podbean.com, this YouTube channel, of course, and my Twitter feed at mrwebbpv. You can also get this as a podcast on Stitcher and iTunes. So with that, I'd like to wish you all very clear, dark skies for the month of September.